Cairo from Safa's front porch. Let's step into Safa's apartment in Cairo. He has a number of uses for this, partly for training and also to be nice to people like me. And notice the pretty carpet. Now let's go to the kitchen and the bath and the bedroom. Over this way. And here's where I had a delicious breakfast. I'll have to tell you the details of what we had. And I've spent a little bit of time right here. And this is the place where I caught up on my rest. About 6-7 good hours in this bed after I had an all-night ride, or an all-day ride, a 13-hour ride on an Airbus. Stopped at Paris, and then to Cairo. We just need a little bit more time out here. Let me introduce you to Safa Fahmy. He's the man that invited me to Egypt, and now here in Cairo, and my lifetime dream is now being fulfilled. I'll turn and let you look at the scenery of Cairo.
Tell them that you are in the land of the pharaohs, the people who taught Moses the wisdom, and the country which is causing headache to everyone in the world.
I'm excited, and now we go to the pyramids. Listen to the Egyptian music in the background.
Yeah?
The largest and newest mosque in Cairo. Station Square.
To your right. The station is to your right.
To the right. This is who we are. 1,000-year-old university.
عربية ملاك ما كانتش قضية.
Miles and miles of old food, between 600 and 700,000 Once again, we're passing the citadel. 1,400 years old. 1,400-year-old walls. Amazing. Protect the cities from the enemy, as the Rodgers said. We're still in Cairo. I want to have this tape on just for a minute, just so you can listen to the horns. Because people literally drive by their horns. Just the southwest corner of
And Thomas touched
what's the name of this pyramid? Cheops. Cheops Pyramid. Thank you.
Cheops or Cheops?
Or Cheops.
Or Hufu.
Or Hupu.
Hufu in Arabic.
Okay, that's... Thank you.
What about touching the pyramid? Get out of the car. Three pyramids together. See the Sphinx also.
Okay. This is the baby pyramid.
Big baby.
Big baby. There's about 50 pyramids in Egypt. Smaller than this. Very, very wonderful day. Thank you, Safa. And to your former secretary, very happy to get to know you.
Hi ho Silver!
Hi ho, Silver.
Willkommen, hooray, hooray, willkommen, yee-hoo! Yes. Hi Mr. Lawrence of Arabia.
Napoleon's men shot the nose off the Sphinx. Isn't that sad?
Well, that's what they said.
It's Thursday morning. I'm still in my pajamas. We've had a train ride yesterday, about 250 miles from Cairo, going south along the Nile River to Asyut. And this is a home where I stayed by myself last night. And I understand that this home is owned by Safa's father, who is now 80 years old or so, and is a diabetic. I met him last evening. Beautiful flooring and Persian rugs, but once again, with no rain, it is very difficult to keep the dust down, and no American woman would be very happy living in Egypt with the dust problem.
ما الفلوس الرفيع تمشي معاك زمان؟
لا لا انت بتشوف شكله فيه بتاع كان شغال في المكتب الاول
This is the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens.
احسن برضه ايوه necklace and bracelet. That's why we can tell these are the local products. On the other side, she imported the Somalia many different, such as the small trees of incense, the mercuries, gold, silver, ivory, ebony, plus henna, the hair products, because henna used for the lady. That means we can tell the Egyptian female ladies they are doing their best up to now in order to keep their husband's eyes set, right? And as well, she imported from Somalia the African animals such as giraffe, buffaloes, leopards, baboons, beyond, oxen, cows as well.
And this is the tomb of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut. We'll give you more detail about this lady who tried to be a man in appearance so that she could rule like a man, and they found her out. Kings Valley, in the shape of a pyramid, is on the other side of this mountain. And here we have the noble tombs around the edge, and the dynasty tombs, including Hatshepsut's. Right. Hatshepsut. Okay, I'm not too well acquainted. Hatshepsut.
Oh, hot chicken soup.
Hot chicken soup. Okay, yes. Now we can do it. There's holes with more tombs. These are the noble, not the royal tombs.
The served fish. Meanwhile, the Somalian rulers and Hatshepsut's ambassador right now, he's delivering him the seeds, eggs, daggers, necklace, and bracelet, which exported from Egypt. We did find some of these slabs are missing up to now. These are the restoration of the renovations here, plus 4 replica identical copy. One of these carved by the donkey. On top of the donkey we found the hieroglyphics since it says that Afa F Hamid F means the donkey which carries his wife. But we prefer to say the poor donkey, because even here we can observe the sense of humor within the ancient Egyptian time. Hatshepsut's right ambassador bar next to up there on the second registers, he's receiving the huge pile of henna and the gold before him standing Bareho, and his wife, the princess of Somalia. She was very, very heavy load, and she used to ride the donkeys every day. That's why they carved on top of the donkey the Afa F Hamid F means the poor donkey which carries the princess. Of course, because she was very heavy load. Maybe that's represented the way, right, they carved the foreign ladies, or maybe, right, the Princess Eti, she was suffered of the elephantitis disease. On top, on the third register, nearby the Red Sea Course, right now the Egyptians, they start to load everything, headed to the fleet. Particularly the small trees, we can tell the myrrh trees, they kept the roots in the clay basket. Clay means the silt, the Nile silt. By this way they might hear. These are what had been imported from Somalia, particularly the curved figures carved on the wall, that the elephant tusk is here, but on top we're going to find the African animals, the tropic animals. Can you see the oxen? It's very obvious here, particularly the horns of the oxen. On top of the oxen, the big legs of giraffe. To the right-hand side of giraffe, we did find even tigers up there, and down, headed with me right now, these are the leopard skin. That's part of these guys. Right? They are measuring the huge pile of henna, the hair colors. That's why the reddish-brown colors indicate to the henna stone, right, or the henna leaves. And on top, to measure gold and silver, they better use a scale. That's why we can tell the scale which now represented, because whenever Hatshepsut passed away, he had the power, and he waged 16 military campaigns against Asia Minor. Asia Minor means Syria, right, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestinian, Israel, till the situation there became under the Egyptian control once again. That's why the scholars, they consider Thutmose III was in the 18th dynasty, 1500 BC, that he was the biggest, the greatest warriors, right, during the ancient Egyptian time. and Memphis Institute, and recently just John Paul Getty, right, participated the Egyptians for the restoration which have been carried out here. Because they offered to Egypt $3 million. Meanwhile, 10 million Egyptian pound in order to resume the restoration for this tomb. They are leaning down now. They are using the same ancient tools, right, in order to perform the different shape of vase and vessels. These are the alabasters here, right? We got the 3 different color of alabaster. The white, it looks like crystal, right? Plus the yellow, but here they call it brown, and the green as well. These are the 3 different colors of alabaster, where the alabaster mountain located roughly 150 kilometers away from the King's Valley. We got the 2 different vases here. One of these supposed to be handmade and the other machine made, right? This one and the second one here as well, right? But I can tell, right? You can observe the difference between both. This one handmade and the other one machines made. But this one very light, right, to carry. Very light compared to the heaviest one machines made. How many different stages it lasts to make? First of all here, this guy is right now using the hammer in order to perform the shape of the vase. Whenever he performed the outer shape of the vase, right, he's gonna cover this vase from outside by the cotton or linen with glue as well. Why? Because after the linen, right, before they get unwrap the vase of linen, they have to drill the vase, making drills. That's why this guy, but these tools, right, you're gonna find, right, 4 small curved tools down have been fixed by the hand one, because it's due to the vase itself. We got many different sizes of these tools, right, in order to make the drill or to make the hole in the vase. And he's gonna fix it like this and put it down and moving these tools around, right, in order to drill the vase. Whenever he finished, right, and the second stage right now, he's going to use this tool. It's very sharp, right, in order to smooth the vase here. That's why you're going to see you now how did they smooth the vase. This guy right now, he's going to use the first one of these tools in order to smooth the outer shape of the vase. The second one, right, the second one he's going to use the other one, which is very soft. It's due to the stone itself. Eventually, right, he's going to use this one, right, but this one, it looks like completely different rather than the other tools, because that's for the neck, to carve the neck of this vase. Whenever they carve the vase, right, they're going to use eventually sandstone to be very smooth, right, then headed to the oven, the stove, for 100 Fahrenheit, and even sometimes using sandpaper. And we're going to find eventually the 2 vases handmade. One of these already, right, entirely finished. These are waxed. That means this one had been waxed by the beeswax, but the other one unwaxed here. So these are 2 hands, right? 2 vases handmade, but one waxed, the other unwaxed as well. This one brown, and that one white, right? You can figure out the difference in weight in between the 2. This one very small but very heavy because it's very thick. Meanwhile, machines made. But the bigger, right, very thin, right? That's why the handmade mainly lighter than the machines made the heaviest. And here, I'm going to tell you the difference in between the black stone, because nearby the sightseeing you're going to find some guys holding the 2 cats, right? They will say, hey, my friend, that's basalt for £1, £1. Whenever you go to him, he's going to charge you 50 Egyptian pound. You may pay 50 Egyptian pound, but for the good quality, for the real basalt, not for the painted stone, right? That's the difference between the good quality and the rubbish here. And here, the 2 local stone, very hard. Granite from Aswan basalt, from Sinai, and from the Red Sea mountain. Very hard. That's the natural stone which had been used a few thousand years ago. From here, we're going to move headed inside the factory, right? To let you see, right? Like the brown alabaster, it's very obvious here, and the green alabaster as well. That means the third color is green alabaster. I guess that they lost the green one here, but don't worry, you'll find it anywhere. Oh, right. That is the green alabaster. Say, eventually they found it. That's the alabaster, very transparent here. Here, all this stuff, right?
Okay.
We can find out that all the stuff here, these are machine handmade. That means all this vase, all this statue, all the different shape of the square beetle, the handmade. But just one section ahead of us right now, these are the machines. This part here, handmade, not machines made. Thank you.
Thank you for the alabaster that you gave me. Very good. You're a good man. Thank you.
You got it.
Now we're looking over the landscape where we've just been. You can see in the distance some of the sites that we have visited. I can't give you an exact representation now, but I have a story to tell about these, but I got to get the facts a little more clear in my mind. These are the Colossus of Luxor, or Colossus of something. The tour guide gave us the information on tapes, and I'll try to relate the details. I've read about them because for years they had sounds that were coming out of the cracks of these colossi, and they interpreted them as a way of his communicating with his mother.
seul.
Mais sûr. Tu es avec des cours. Pour faire tes choses, on sait tout seul. Compte jusque 3, hein? Oui. Alors, dépêchez. Vous n'allez pas rentrer dedans. Allez. 1, 2. Maintenant, hein?
I didn't know there was one coming up. I won't use the camera by the police anymore.
معلق سلسلة فيها صليب ولا فيها تنزيل. بس بالمرسى بتاع
I believe it's the Luxor Temple.
Yes. سنة كده بتاعتنا. بارو طويلة.
This is Luxor Temple. Unfortunately, probably the most unfortunate thing on our trip so far is that I left my tape recorder and my guide did not give me the details. But as we walked through it, the information that he had was absolutely fascinating, and I'll never be able to recover it. At one time in history, there were 3,000 of these lion statues. Now, unfortunately, there's only 73, as I understand it. Actually, I'm facing the wrong way because this is the entry into the Luxor Temple. Luxor Temple. Looks like several of them fell down.
أنا لي 17 سنة.
There's a lot of history spanning a lot of years in regard to this location. Unfortunately, I am not up to speed on the details of the Luxor Temple. But I'm going to read some books. there's some intriguing story to this statue of King Tut and the young lady that's by his side. I think he began being king at age 10 and was killed at age 19. And I think this young lady had something to do with his early demise. I'll have to get the rest of that story. We're going through another courtyard, and incidentally, as I understand it, each one of these courtyards gets us closer and closer to what in the Egyptian religion of some 3,500 years ago, eventually these walkways through these columns led right down through here to what just has to be compared to the Holy of Holies. And I just have to do some more reading about that, but very fascinating. These columns all had carvings in color that's now gone, largely because of the Aswan Dam and the difference in chemicals that are now in this area. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of color in this area that had been retained across the years. This is bundled papyrus. Keep in mind that these pillars were supporting a stone roof above all of this. So at one time there was a huge stone roof all the way across this area. So think of the weight and the support that these pillars had to maintain. And that's the reason they're so huge and so close together. And now we enter into another courtyard, a smaller one, but the story gets mixed up between the Egyptians and the Greeks and the Romans here, and even some Israel and Christian use of this temple. Listen carefully, and in the background it's Muslim prayer time. In addition to the horns, do you hear the Muslims praying? Entering into another smaller courtyard, and once again you can get the impression of how this was once overlaid with stone, a stone roof. Now this is most fascinating because we're going to enter into two different Holy of Holy rooms. One, the Egyptians as I understand it, and then for some reason that I don't understand, the one inside that was built inside, a smaller one, by the Romans. They kept a gold statue of some sort in here. Actually one that was overlaid gold because it was too heavy. But once a year they brought the real gold one in, and whether it was sacrifices or what it was, I don't know, took place. But this is the Roman one inside this Holy of Holies of the Egyptians. This is not the right language, I'm sure, but there's all kind of carvings on the walls, and the significance to some culture in the past. It's kind of lost from me right now. Now, this is the inside of the Roman place. This wall out here surrounds it and is an Egyptian background. very interesting. As I come to a location and there's a policeman there, they always step out of the way. I was reprimanded rather heavily when I took pictures of some soldiers at a river crossing. So now we've walked all the way through the Temple of Karnak, I think from the north to the south, right across the river, maybe 20 miles is where the tombs that we have visited have been. And we have yet to see the Karnak Sound and Light Show tonight at 8 o'clock. And suddenly I have a surprise. Samuel and Mr. Fickery that I just met told me to meet on the top floor to have dinner with them at 6 o'clock on Friday evening. So I'll just look out over the Nile here. We'll just look out over the Nile and see what we have. Across the river, of course it's dark now. If you could see beyond the lights, right over there's the sand dunes and the mountains. And off to the left, a little further, would have been the place where we've traveled today. So this has been absolutely superb to have men from the city to come and meet me and just to have dinner with me. So it's about 6:15 on Friday night, and I have a special car, private car, to meet me at 8 o'clock. It's 7:15, and in 45 minutes,
The result is this fabulous lab.
Here, journey to Luxor for the festival of open.
Yet one day, even the temple of Rodgers
that erected the columns and colossi at Karnak was a river civilization.
It was by bark of the rose-colored granite, diorite and alabaster were built here. Each flood bearing hundreds of rose stones.
Behind me in this courtyard, nothing but this calcite sphinx.
Central pavilion, of which little now remains, served as an altar for the divine offering. Clasping to its legs the tiny figure of a beloved queen.
And I, it of the sanctuary. Only the southern statue has remained intact, but it is enough to keep alive the memory of my august reign. For 67 years, I wore the double
marvelous gate leading to the chambers of God. The panels that are
seemed to speak from these walls, thick with the inscriptions of signatures and prayers. Let's dream in this forest of symbols.
No one could express our wonder better than the great French Egyptologist Champollion when he himself came here.
Used not reliefs this time, but sunken reliefs. This hydrosound chamber is the mother.
The bond is broken, the steel unsealed. The twin gates of heaven are opening. The twin gates.
Enlarged and developed the labyrinth of night. Here we must evoke the most ancient pharaohs, like Tutmosis I, Tutmosis III, Amenophis III,
But the history of reigns and events seems so insignificant compared to the imperishable testimony of faith. Men are so made that they remember better the invisible than the real.
2,000 years of royal annals, festivals, mourning, battles, love stories, intrigues, expeditions, mingle here like the myriad leaves
from the monuments. The new god was called Atom.
One God, the Son, love.
Since he died in his adolescence, his posthumous is Tutankhamun.
His makeshift tomb was dug in the very floor of the Valley of the Kings. Over there.
It escaped the looters for 3,000 years. And in 1922, everything was there.
The sarcophagi, one inside the other. The statues, the jewels of gold, the sacred and profane furniture, the alabasters, the porcelains, that prodigious treasure that still draws the crowds, and that mask encrusted with lapis lazuli and cornelian, which stares at us from the depths of the night with the enigmatic smile of an immortal young man.
Down the Nile in the time of the floods. Rocks are there to guide it. Flat on its planks are 2 stones of rose granite. They are the obelisks of the Queen. It is the expedition to Aswan returning. Glory to Queen Hatshepsut. May she live forever.
The 2 obelisks have been set up. I must finish their dedication. I shall add this.
On the terraces, priest astronomers observe the movement of the stars, are responsible for eclipses.
But each year, the harvest done, the grapes gathered, when the new wine rises to the heaven, announced the salvation of man.
He also announced the salvation of the crocodile and the scarab, everything that moves, of the flowers of the earth. He deigned to assume the guise of a ram, a falcon, a goose, or a bull. He offered equality to all the companions of the universe.
And the language of the hieroglyphics is like this overwhelming faith, which, thanks to the floods of the Nile, raised these pylons, these colonnades, these obelisks.
May these hieroglyphics come to life once more, to bid farewell to you, new pilgrims to Upper Egypt. Like a sudden flight of a myriad sacred birds, their spread wings sprinkling the droplets of the river like a benediction.
It's all right. Mum.
My final picture.
Yo dico la